And a vast network of 2.4 lakh dark sevaks will be repositioned to act as a catalyst for the rural economy. Details are at Annexure C. India Post will also be transformed as a large public logistics organization. This will meet the rising needs of Vishwakarmas, new entrepreneurs, women, self-help groups, MSMEs, and the large business organizations. Our government will provide support to NCDC for its lending operations for the cooperative sector. As the second engine. Now I move to MSMEs as the second engine, which encompasses manufacturing and services with a focus on MSMEs numbering 5.7 crores. Currently, this will give them the confidence to grow and generate employment for our youth. The details are given in National Institute of Food Technology, Entrepreneurship and Management in Bihar. The institute will provide a strong fillip to food processing activities in the entire eastern region. This will result in 1. Enhanced income for the farmers through value addition to their produce, and 2. Skilling entrepreneurship and employment opportunities for the youth. Manufacturing mission, furthering Make in India. Our government will set up a national manufacturing mission covering small, medium, and large industries for furthering Make in India by providing policy support, execution roadmaps, governance, and monitoring framework for central ministries and states. Details are in Annexure E. Given our commitment to climate-friendly development, the mission will also support clean tech manufacturing. This will aim to improve domestic value addition and build our ecosystem for solar PV cells, EV batteries, motors and controllers, electrolyzers, wind turbines, very high voltage transmission equipment, and grid scale batteries. Investment as the third engine. Now I move to investment as the third engine, which encompasses investing in people, investing in the economy, and investing in innovation. Investing in people. Saksham Anganwadi and Poshan 2.0. Saksham Anganwadi and Poshan 2.0 program provides nutritional support to more than 8 crore children, 1 crore pregnant women and lactating mothers all over the country, and about 20 lakh adolescent girls in aspirational districts and the Northeast region. The cost norms for these nutritional support will be enhanced appropriately. Atal Tinkering Labs. 50,000 Atal Tinkering Labs will be set up in government schools in the next 5 years to cultivate the spirit of curiosity and innovation and foster a scientific temper among young minds. Broadband connectivity to government secondary schools and PHCs. Broadband connectivity will be provided to all government secondary schools and primary health centers in rural areas under the BharatNet project. Bharatiya Bhasha Pustak Scheme. We propose to implement a Bharatiya Bhasha Pustak scheme to provide digital form Indian language books for schools and for higher education. This aims to help students understand their subjects better and in their language. National Centers of Excellence for Skilling. Building on the initiative announced in the July 24 budget, 5 national centers of excellence for skilling will be set up, global expertise and partnerships to equip our youth with the skills required for Make for India, Make for the World manufacturing. The partnership will cover curriculum design, training of trainers, and a skills certification framework and periodic reviews. Expansion of capacity in IITs. Total number of students in 23 IITs has increased 100% from 60,000 to 1.35 lakh in the past 10 years. Additional infrastructure will be created in the 5 IITs started after 2014 to facilitate education for 6,500 more students. Hostel and other infrastructure capacity at IIT Patna will also be expanded. Center of Excellence. Center of Excellence in AI for Education. I had announced 3 centers of excellence in artificial intelligence for agriculture, health, and sustainable cities in 2023. Now a center of excellence in artificial intelligence for education will be set up with a total outlay of 500 crores. Expansion of medical education. Our government has added almost 1.1 lakh undergraduate and postgraduate medical education seats in 10 years, an increase of 130%. In the next year, 10,000 additional seats will be added in medical colleges and hospitals towards the goal of adding 75,000 seats in the next 5 years. Daycare and cancer centers in all district hospitals. Our government will facilitate setting up of daycare cancer centers in all district hospitals in the next 3 years. 200 centers will be established in 25-26 itself. Strengthening urban livelihoods. Our government has been giving priority to assisting urban poor and vulnerable groups. A scheme for socio-economic upliftment of urban workers will be implemented to help them improve their incomes, have sustainable livelihoods, and a better quality of life. PM Swanidhi scheme has benefited more than 68 lakh street vendors, giving them respite from high-interest informal sector loans. On this success, the scheme will be revamped with enhanced loans from banks, UPI-linked credit cards with 30,000 rupees limit, and capacity building support. Social Security Scheme for welfare of online platform workers. Gig workers of online platforms provide great dynamism to the new age services economy. Recognizing their contribution, our government will arrange for their identity cards and registration on the eShram portal. They will be provided healthcare under PM Jan Arogya Yojana. This measure is likely to assist nearly 1 crore gig workers. Investing in the economy. Public-private partnership in infrastructure. Each infrastructure related will come up with a 3-year pipeline of projects that can be implemented in PPP mode. States will also be encouraged to do so and can seek support from the India Infrastructure Project Development Fund, which is a scheme to prepare PPP proposals. Support to states for infrastructure. An outlay of 1.5 lakh crore is proposed for 50-year interest-free loans to states for capital expenditure and incentives for reforms. Building on the success of the first asset monetization plan announced in 2021, the second plan for 2025 to 30 will be launched to plow back capital of 10 lakh crore in new projects. Regulatory and fiscal measures. 15 crore households representing 80% of India's rural population have been provided access to portable tap water connections. To achieve 100% coverage, I am pleased to announce the extension of this mission until 2028 with an enhanced total outlay. The mission's focus will be on the quality of infrastructure and O&M of rural piped water supply schemes through Jan Bhagidari. A separate MOU or separate MOUs will be signed with the states and union territories to ensure sustainability and citizen-centric water services delivery. Urban sector reforms. Building on the July budget proposals, urban sector reforms related to governance, municipal services, urban land, and planning will be incentivized. Urban Challenge Fund. The government will set up an Urban Challenge Fund of 1 lakh crore rupees to implement the proposals for cities as growth hubs, creative redevelopment of cities, and for water and sanitation purposes announced in the July budget. This fund will finance up to 25% of the cost of bankable projects, with a stipulation that at least 50% of the cost is funded from bonds, bank loans, and PPPs. An allocation of 10,000 crore is proposed in 2025-26. Power sector reforms. We will incentivize electricity distribution reforms and augmentation of intra-state transmission capacity by states. This will improve financial health and capacity of electricity companies. Additional borrowing of 0.5% of GSDP will be allowed to states contingent on these reforms. Nuclear energy mission for Vikasit Bharat. Development of at least 100 gigawatt of nuclear energy by 2047 is essential for our energy development of these reforms. With the private sector towards this goal, amendments to the Atomic Energy Act and the Civil Liability for Nuclear Damage Act will be taken up. A nuclear energy mission for research and development of small modular reactors with an outlay of 20,000 crore will be set up. At least 5 indigenously developed small modular reactors will be operationalized by 2033. Shipbuilding. The shipbuilding financial assistance policy will be revamped to address cost disadvantages. This will also include credit notes for shipbreaking in Indian yards to promote the circular economy. Large ships above a specified size will be included in the infrastructure harmonized master list. Shipbuilding clusters will be facilitated to increase the range, categories, and capacity of ships. This will include additional infrastructure, facilities, skilling, and technology to develop the entire ecosystem. Maritime Development Fund. For long-term financing for the maritime industry, a Maritime Development Fund with a corpus of 25,000 crore rupees will be set up. This will be for distributed support and promoting competition. This will have up to 49% contribution by the government, and the balance will be mobilized from ports and from private sector. UDAN regional connectivity schemes. UDAN has enabled 1.5 crore middle-class people to meet their aspirations for speedier travel. The scheme has connected 88 airports, and operationalized 619 routes. Inspired by that success, a modified UDAN scheme will be launched to enhance regional connectivity to 120 new destinations and carry 4 crore passengers in the next 10 years. 4 crore additional passengers in the next 10 years. The scheme will also support helipads and smaller airports in hilly, aspirational, and northeast regional districts. Greenfield airports will be facilitated in Bihar to meet the future needs of the state. These will be in addition to the expansion of the capacity of Patna Airport and a brownfield airport in Beta. Western Kosi Canal project in Mithilanchal. Financial support will be provided for the Western Kosi Canal ERM project, benefiting a large number of farmers cultivating over 50,000 hectares of land in the Mithilanchal region of Bihar. Mining sector reforms. Mining sector reforms, including those for minor minerals, will be encouraged through sharing of best practices and institutions of a state mining index. A policy for recovery of critical minerals from tailings will be brought out. Under the special window for affordable and mid-income housing, SWAMI, 50,000 dwelling units in stressed housing projects have been completed and keys handed over to home buyers. Another 40,000 units will be completed in 2025, further helping middle-class families who are paying EMIs on loans taken for apartments while also paying rent for their current dwellings. Building on this success, SWAMI Fund 2 will be established as a blended finance facility with contribution from the government, banks, and private investors. This fund of 15,000 crore rupees will aim for expeditious completion of another 1 lakh units. PM Gati Shakti data for private sector. For furthering PPPs and assisting the private sector in project planning, access to relevant data and maps from the PM Gati Shakti portal will be provided. Tourism for employment-led growth. Top 50 tourist destination sites in the country will be developed in partnership with states through a challenge mode. Land for building key infrastructure will have to be provided by the states. Hotels in these destinations will be included in the infrastructure harmonized list. The following measures will be taken for facilitating employment-led growth. Organizing intensive skill development programs for our youth, including in institutes of hospitality management. Providing Mudra loans for homestays. Improving ease of travel and connectivity to tourist destinations. Providing performance-linked incentives to states for effective destination management, including tourist amenities, cleanliness, and marketing efforts. Medical tourism and Heal in India will be promoted in partnership with the private sector, along with capacity building and easier visa norms. Investing in innovation. To implement private sector-driven research, development, and innovation initiatives announced in the July budget, I am now allocating 20,000 crore rupees for this purpose. A deep tech fund of funds will also be explored to catalyze the next generation startups as a part of this initiative. In the next 5 years, under the PM Research Fellowship Scheme, we will provide 10,000 fellowships for technological research in IITs and IISc with enhanced financial support. The second gene with 10 lakh germplasm lines will be set up for future food and nutritional security. This will provide conservation support to both public and private sectors for genetic resources. We will start a national geospatial mission to develop foundational geospatial infrastructure and data. Using PM Gati Shakti, this mission will facilitate modernization of land records, urban planning, and design of infrastructure projects. A Gyan Bharatam mission for survey, documentation, and conservation of our manuscript heritage with academic institutions, museums, libraries, and private collectors will be undertaken to cover more than 1 crore manuscripts. We will set up a national digital repository of Indian knowledge systems for knowledge sharing. Now I move to exports as the fourth engine. We will set up an export promotion mission with sectoral and ministerial targets driven jointly by the Ministries of Commerce, MSME, and Finance. It will facilitate easy access to export credit, cross-border factoring support, support to MSMEs to tackle non-tariff measures in overseas markets. A digital public infrastructure, Bharat Trade Net, for international trade will be set up as a unified platform for trade documentation and financing solutions. This will complement the Unified Logistics Interface platform. The BTN will be aligned with international practices. Support will be provided to develop domestic manufacturing capacities for our economy's integration with global supply chains. Sectors will be identified based on objective criteria. Facilitation groups with participation of senior officers and industry representatives will be formed for select products and supply chains. Through this, there are huge opportunities related to Industry 4.0, which needs high skills and talent. Our youth have both. Our government will support the domestic electronic equipment industry, leverage this opportunity for the benefit of our youth. A national framework will be formulated as guidance to states for promoting global capability centers in emerging Tier 2 cities. This will suggest measures for enhancing availability of talent and infrastructure, building bylaw reforms, and mechanisms for collaboration with industry. Our government will facilitate upgradation of infrastructure and warehousing for air cargo, including high-value perishable horticultural produce. Cargo screening and customs protocol will be streamlined and made user-friendly. Reforms as the fuel. Over the past 10 years, our government has implemented several reforms for convenience of taxpayers, such as faceless assessment, 2, taxpayer charter, 3, faster returns, 4, almost 99% returns being on self-assessment, and 5, Vivad Se Vishwas scheme. Continuing these efforts, I reaffirm the commitment of the tax department to trust first, scrutinize later. I also propose to introduce the new income tax bill next week. I will detail the indirect tax reforms and changes in direct taxes in Part B. Financial sector reforms. The FDI limit for the insurance sector will be raised from 74 to 100%. This enhanced limit will be available for those companies which invest the entire premium in India. The current guardrails and conditionalities associated with foreign investment will be reviewed and simplified. The services of India Post Payment Bank will be deepened and expanded in rural areas. NABFID will set up a partial credit enhancement facility for corporate bonds for infrastructure. Public sector banks will develop Grameen Credit Score framework to serve the credit needs of SHG members and people in rural areas. A forum for regulatory coordination and development of pension products will be set up. To implement the earlier announcement on simplifying the KYC processes, the revamped Central KYC Registry will be rolled out in 2025. We will also implement a streamlined system for periodic updating. Requirements and procedures for speedy approval of company mergers will be rationalized. The scope for fast-track mergers will also be widened and the process made simpler. As proposed in the interim budget, we signed bilateral investment treaties with 2 countries in 2024. To encourage sustained foreign investment and in the spirit of First Develop India, the current model BIT will be revamped and made more investor friendly. In the last 10 years, in several aspects, including financial and non-financial, our government has demonstrated a steadfast commitment to ease of doing business. We are determined to ensure that our regulations must keep up with technological innovations and global policy developments. A light touch regulatory framework based on principles and trust will unleash productivity and employment. Through this framework, we will update regulations that were made under old laws. To develop this modern, flexible, people-friendly, and trust-based regulatory framework appropriate for the 21st century, I propose 4 specific measures. A high-level committee for regulatory reforms will be set up for a review of all non-financial sector regulations, certifications, licenses, and permissions. The committee will be expected to make recommendations within a year. The objective is to strengthen trust-based economic governance and take transformational measures to enhance ease of doing business, especially in matters of inspection and compliances. States will be encouraged to join in this endeavor. An investment friendliness index of states will be launched in 2025 to further the spirit of competitive cooperative federalism. Under the Financial Stability and Development Council, a mechanism will be set up to evaluate impact of the current financial regulations and subsidiary instructions. It will also formulate a framework to enhance their responsiveness and development of the financial sector. In the Jan Vishwas Act 2023, more than 180 legal provisions were decriminalized. Our government will now bring up the Jan Vishwas Bill 2.0 to decriminalize more than 100 provisions in various laws. I now move to fiscal policy. In the July budget, I had committed to staying the course for fiscal consolidation. Our endeavor will be to keep the fiscal deficit each year such that central government debt remains on a declining path as a percentage of the GDP. The roadmap for the next 6 years has been detailed in the FRBM statement. Revised estimates for 2024-25. The revised estimate of the total receipts other than borrowings is 31.47 lakh crore rupees, of which the net tax receipts are 25.57 lakh crore rupees. The revised estimate of the total expenditure is 47.16 lakh crore rupees, of which the capital expenditure is about 10.18 lakh crore rupees. The revised estimate of the fiscal deficit is 4.8% of the GDP. Budget estimates for 25-26. Coming to 25-26, the total receipts other than borrowings and total expenditure are estimated at 34.96 lakh crore rupees and 50.65 lakh crore rupees respectively. The net tax receipts are estimated at 28.37 lakh crore rupees. The fiscal deficit is estimated to be 4.4% of GDP. To finance the fiscal deficit, the net market borrowings from dated securities are estimated at 11.54 lakh crore. The balance financing is expected to come from small savings and other sources. The gross market borrowings are estimated at 14.82 lakh crore rupees. I will now move to Part B. Indirect taxes. My proposals relating to customs aim to rationalize tariff structure and address duty inversion. These will also support domestic manufacturing and value addition, promote exports, facilitate trade, and provide relief to common people. Rationalization of customs tariff structure for industrial goods. As a part of comprehensive review of customs rate structure announced in July 2024 budget, I propose to 1. Remove 7 tariff rates. This is over and above the 7 tariff rates removed in 23-24 budget. After this, there will be only 8 remaining tariff rates, including 0 rate. 2. Apply appropriate cess to broadly maintain effective duty incidence, except on a few items where such incidence will reduce marginally. 3. Levy not more than 1 cess or surcharge. Therefore, to exempt social welfare surcharge on 82 tariff lines that are subject to a cess. I shall now take up sector-specific proposals. To provide relief to patients, particularly those suffering from cancer, rare diseases, and other severe chronic diseases, I propose to add 36 life-saving drugs and medicines to the list of medicines fully exempted from basic custom duty. I also propose to add 6 life-saving medicines to the list attracting concessional custom duty of 5%. Full exemption and concessional duty will also respectively apply on the bulk drugs for manufacture of the above. Specified drugs and medicines under patient assistance programs run by the pharmaceutical companies are fully exempt from BCD, provided the medicines are supplied free of cost to the patients. I propose to add 37 more medicines along with 13 new patient assistance programs. Support to domestic manufacturing and value addition. Critical minerals. In the July 2024 budget, I had fully exempted BCD on 25 critical minerals that are not domestically available. I had also reduced BCD of 2 other such minerals to provide a major fillip to their processing, especially by MSMEs. Now, I propose to fully exempt cobalt powder and waste, the scrap of lithium-ion battery, lead, zinc, and 12 more critical minerals. This will help secure the availability for manufacturing in India and promote more jobs for our youth. To promote domestic production of technical textile products such as agro-textiles, medical textiles, and geotextiles at competitive prices, I propose to add 2 more types of shuttle-less looms to the list of fully exempted textile machinery. I also propose to revise the BCD rate on knitted fabrics covered by 9 tariff lines from 10 or 20 to 20% or 115 rupees per kg, whichever is higher. Electronic goods. In line with our Make in India policy and to rectify inverted duty structure, I propose to increase the BCD on interactive flat panel display from 10% to 20% and reduce the BCD to 5% on open cell and other components. In 23-24 budget, for the manufacture of open cells of LCD, LED TVs, I had reduced the BCD on parts of open cells from 5 to 2.5%. To further boost the manufacture of such open cells, the BCD on these parts will now stand exempted. Lithium-ion battery. To the list of exempted capital goods, I propose to add 35 additional capital goods for EV battery manufacturing and 28 additional capital goods for mobile phone battery manufacturing. This will boost domestic manufacture of lithium-ion batteries, both for mobile phones and for electric vehicles. Shipping sector. Considering that shipbuilding has a long gestation period, I propose to continue the exemption of BCD on raw materials, components, consumables, or parts for the manufacture of ships for another 10 years. I also propose the same dispensation for shipbreaking to make it more competitive. Telecommunication. To prevent classification disputes, I propose to reduce the BCD from 20% to 10% on carrier-grade Ethernet switches to make it at par with non-carrier-grade Ethernet switches. Export promotion. To facilitate exports of handicrafts, I propose to extend the time period for export from 6 months to 1 year, further extendable by another 3 months if required. I also propose to add 9 items to the list of duty-free inputs. Leather sector. I propose to fully exempt BCD on wet blue leather to facilitate imports for domestic value addition and employment. I also propose to exempt crust leather from 20% export duty to facilitate exports by small tanners. Marine products. To enhance India's competitiveness in the global seafood market, I propose to reduce BCD from 30% to 5% on frozen fish paste, surimi, for manufacture and export of its analog products. I also propose to reduce BCD from 15% to 5% on fish hydrolysates for manufacture of fish and shrimp feed. In July 2024 budget, to promote development of domestic MROs for aircraft and ships, I had extended the time limit for export of foreign origin goods that were imported for repairs from 6 months to 1 year and further extendable by 1 year. I now propose to extend the same dispensation for railway goods. Time limit for provisional assessment. Presently, the Customs Act 1962 does not provide any time limit to finalize provisional assessments, leading to uncertainty and cost to trade. As a measure of promoting ease of doing business, I propose to fix a time limit of 2 years, extendable by a year, for finalizing the provisional assessment. I propose to introduce a new provision that will enable importers or exporters clearance of goods to voluntarily declare material facts and pay duty with interest but without penalty. This will incentivize voluntary compliance. However, this will not apply in cases where department has already initiated audit or investigation proceedings. For industry to better plan their imports, I propose to extend the time limit for the end use of imported inputs in the relevant rules from 6 months to 1 year. This will provide operational flexibility in view of cost and uncertainty of supply. Further, such importers will now have to file only quarterly statements instead of a monthly statement. I now come to my direct tax proposals. In Part A, I have briefly underlined taxation reforms as one of key reforms to realize our vision of Vikasit Bharat. In respect of criminal law, our government had earlier ushered in Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, replacing Bharatiya Danda Sanhita. I am happy to inform this august House and the country that for new income tax bill will carry forward the same spirit of Nyaya in its drafting as well. The new bill will be clear, clear and direct in text, with close to half of the present law in terms of both chapters and words. It will be simple to understand for taxpayers and tax administrators, leading to tax certainty and reduced litigation. Reforms, however, are not a destination. They are means to achieve good governance for our people and economy. Providing good governance primarily involves being responsive. The Tirukkural captures this in verse 542, which reads, "Vaanokki vaazhum ulagallam, mannavan kol nokki vaazhum kudi," meaning, just as the living beings live expecting rains, citizens live expecting good governance. Our government is committed to keeping an ear to the ground and a finger on the pulse and responding while balancing our national building efforts. The following measures will detail just how government will, under the guidance of PM Modi, has taken steps to understand and address. I repeat that sentence, sir. The following measures will detail just how our government, under the guidance of PM Modi, has taken steps to understand and address the needs voiced by our citizens. My tax proposals are guided by this spirit. The objectives of my proposals are as follows. Personal income tax reforms with special focus on middle class. Rationalization of TDS and TCS for easing difficulties. Encouraging voluntary compliance. Reducing compliance burden. Ease of doing business, employment and investment. I will come to my proposal on personal income tax towards the end. TDS and TCS, rationalization for easing difficulties. I propose to rationalize tax deduction at source, TDS, by reducing the number of rates and thresholds above which TDS is deducted. Further, threshold amounts for tax deduction will be increased for better clarity and uniformity. The limit for tax deduction on interest for senior citizens is being doubled from the present 50,000 rupees to 1 lakh rupees. Similarly, the annual limit of 2.40 lakh rupees for TDS on rent is being increased to 6 lakh rupees. This will reduce the number of transactions liable to TDS, thus small taxpayers receiving small payments. The threshold collect tax at source, the TCS, on remittances under RBI scheme, the LRS, is proposed to be increased from 7 lakh to 10 lakhs. I also propose to remove TCS on remittances for education purposes, where such remittances is out of a loan taken from a specified financial institution. Both TDS and TCS are being applied on any transaction related to sale of goods. To prevent such compliance difficulties, I propose to omit the TCS. I also propose that the provisions of the higher TDS deduction will now apply only in non-PAN cases. In July 2024, the delay for payment of TDS up to the due date of filing statement was decriminalized. I propose to provide the same relaxation to TCS provisions as well. The government under the leadership of Prime Minister Modi believes in Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, Sabka Vishwas, and Sabka Prayas. In line with this, we brought in updated return facility in 2022 for voluntary compliance by taxpayers who had omitted to report their correct income. Our trust in taxpayers was proved right. Nearly 90 lakh taxpayers voluntarily updated their incomes by paying additional tax. Taking this trust further, I now propose to extend the time limit to file updated returns for any assessment year from the current limit of 2 years to 4 years. I propose to reduce the compliance burden for small charitable trusts and institutions by increasing their period of registration from 5 years to 10 years. It is also proposed that disproportionate consequences do not arise for minor defaults, such as incomplete applications filed by charitable entities. Presently, taxpayers can claim the annual value of self-occupied properties as nil only on the fulfillment of certain conditions. Considering the difficulties faced by taxpayers, it is proposed to allow the benefit of 2 such self-occupied properties without any condition. To streamline the process of transfer pricing and to provide an alternative to yearly examination, I propose to introduce a scheme for determining arm's length price of international transaction for a block period of 3 years. This will be in line with global best practices. With a view to reduce litigation and provide certainty in international taxation, the scope of safe harbor rules is being expanded. A number of senior and very senior citizens have very old national savings schemes accounts. As interest is no longer payable on such accounts, I propose to exempt withdrawals made from NSS by individuals on or after 29th August 2024. I am also proposing to allow similar treatment to NPS Vatsalya accounts as is available to normal NPS accounts subject to overall limits. In my speech in July 2024, I had promised that all processes, including giving effect to appellate orders, shall be digitalized and made paperless over the next 2 years. So I'm happy to announce that digitalization is being made operational now. In July 2024, we brought in the Vivad Se Vishwas scheme to resolve income tax disputes pending in appeal. The scheme has received a great response, with nearly 33,000 taxpayers having availed of the scheme to settle their disputes. I have a few proposals to promote investment and employment. It is proposed to provide a presumptive taxation regime for non-residents who provide services to a resident company that is establishing or operating an electronics manufacturing facility. I further propose to introduce a safe harbor for tax certainty for non-residents who store components for supply to specified electronics manufacturing units. Presently, the tonnage tax scheme is available only to seagoing shipping, are proposed to be extended to inland vessels registered under the Indian Vessels Act 2021 to promote inland water transport in the country. Extension for incorporation of startups. We continue to support the Indian startup ecosystem. I propose to extend the period of incorporation by 5 years to allow the benefit available to startups which are incorporated before 1/4/2030. In order to attract and promote additional activities in the IFSC, I am inter alia proposing specific benefits to ship leasing units, insurance offices, and treasury centers of global companies which are set up in IFSC. Further, to claim benefits, the cutoff date for commencement in IFSC has also been extended by 5 years to 31/3/2030. Category 1 and Category 2 AIFs are undertaking investments in infrastructure and other such sectors. I propose to provide certainty of taxation to these entities on the gains from securities. To promote funding from sovereign wealth funds and pension funds to the infrastructure sector, I propose to extend the date of making an investment by 5 more years up to 31st March 2030. Personal income tax reforms with special focus on middle class. Democracy, demography, and demand are the key support pillars in our journey towards Vikasit Bharat. The middle class provides strength for India's growth. This government, under the leadership of Prime Minister Modi, has always believed in the admirable energy and ability of the middle class in nation building. In recognition of their contribution, we have periodically reduced their tax burden. Right after 2014, the nil tax slab was raised to 2.5 lakhs of rupees, which was further raised to 5 lakh rupees in 2019 and to 7 lakh rupees in 2023. This is reflective of our government's trust on the middle class taxpayers. I am now happy to announce that there will be no income tax payable up to income of 12 lakh rupees. So, average income of 1 lakh per month, other than the special rate income such as capital gains, under the new regime. This limit will be 12.75 lakh for salaried taxpayers due to the standard deduction of 75,000. Slabs and rates are being changed across the board to benefit all taxpayers. The new structure will substantially reduce the taxes of the middle class and leave more money in their hands, boosting household consumption, savings, and investment. In the new tax regime, I propose to revise tax rate structures as follows: 0 to 4 lakh rupees nil, 4.8 lakh rupees to 4 to 8 lakh rupees 5%, 8 to 12 lakh rupees 10%, 12 to 16 lakh rupees 15%, 16 to 20 lakh rupees 20%, 20 to 24 lakh rupees 25%, and above 24 lakh rupees 30%. To taxpayers up to 12 lakh of normal income, other than special rate income such as capital gains. I read that again. To taxpayers up to 12 lakh of income, other than special rate income such as capital gains, tax rebate is being provided in addition to the benefit due to slab rate reduction in such a manner that there is no tax payable by them. The total tax benefit of slab rate changes and rebate at different income levels can be illustrated with a few examples. A taxpayer in the new regime with an income of 12 lakh rupees will get a benefit of 80,000 rupees in tax, which is 100% of tax payable as per the existing rates. A person having income of 18 lakh rupees will get a benefit of 70,000 rupees in tax. That is 30% of tax payable as per existing rates. A person with an income of 25 lakh gets a benefit of 1,10,000 rupees. That is 25% of his tax payable as per existing rates. Details of my tax proposals are given in the annexure. As a result of these proposals, Honorable Speaker, sir, revenue of about 1 lakh crore in direct taxes and 2,600 crores in indirect taxes will be foregone. Mr. Speaker, sir, with this, I commend the budget to this august House.
item number 2, Srimati Nirmala Sitharaman.
Sir, with your permission, I rise to lay on the table the following statements under Section 3(1) of the Fiscal Responsibility and Budget Management Act 2003, medium-term fiscal policy cum fiscal policy strategy statement and macroeconomic framework statement.
Item number 3, Srimati Nirmala Sitharaman.
Sir, with your permission, I rise to move for leave to introduce the Finance Bill 2025.
प्रश्न ये है कि विधेयक को पुनर्स्थापित करने की अनुमति प्रदान की जाए। जो सदस्य इसके पक्ष में हाँ कहें, जो सदस्य विरोध में ना कहें। मेरे विचार में निर्णय हाँ वालों के पक्ष में हुआ, हाँ वालों के पक्ष में अनुमति प्रदान की जाती है। माननीय मंत्री जी, अब विधेयक को पुनर्स्थापित करें।
Sir, I introduce the bill.
थैंक यू। सभा की कार्रवाई सोमवार दिनांक 3 फरवरी 2025 को प्राप्त 11 बजे तक के लिए स्थगित की जाती है।
What is indirect tax? In the case of indirect tax, the burden of tax can be shifted by the taxpayer to someone else. Indirect tax has the effect of raising the price of the products on which they are imposed. Customs duty, central excise, service tax, and value-added tax are examples of indirect tax.
महात्मा गांधी एक प्रखर लेखक और संपादक भी थे। उनके विचार जन जन तक पहुंचाने में पत्र पत्रिकाएं, डायरी एवं पुस्तकें एक सशक्त माध्यम बनी। संसदीय पुस्तकालय में उनके लेखन को समर्पित एक संपूर्ण अनुभाग की स्थापना 9 अगस्त 1978 को की गई, जिसे नाम दिया गया गांधीयाना। इस अनुभाग में अंग्रेजी, हिंदी एवं अन्य क्षेत्रीय भाषाओं की 5000 से ज्यादा पुस्तकें उपलब्ध हैं। यहाँ महात्मा गांधी के संपूर्ण लेखन कार्यों का संग्रह अंग्रेजी, हिंदी और गुजराती में उपलब्ध है। गांधी जी के अंत समय तक उनके साथ रहने वाली मनुबेन की पुस्तक बापू माय मदर लुई फिशर की पुस्तक द लाइफ ऑफ महात्मा गांधी इस संग्रह का हिस्सा है। यह अनुभाग महात्मा गांधी के कार्यों, उनकी जिंदगी, उनके लेखन के बारे में गहराई से अध्ययन करने वाले सांसदों, शोधार्थियों के लिए एक महत्वपूर्ण हिस्सा है।
What is Consolidated Fund? The Consolidated Fund is made up of all revenues and loans raised by the government. It also includes receipts from recoveries of loans granted by it. All government expenses are paid out of the Consolidated Fund. No amount can be withdrawn from this fund without Parliament's approval.
भारतीय सनातन संस्कृति का महाआयोजन महाकुंभ इस बार मात्र आध्यात्मिक, सांस्कृतिक, आस्था व श्रद्धा को ही समर्पित नहीं होगा। इस महाकुंभ इस बार विश्व देखेगा भारत की डिजिटल शक्ति, प्रबंधन शक्ति, पर्यावरण संरक्षण और लोक संस्कृति। डिजिटल शक्ति से लैस महाकुंभ में यात्रियों के लिए है डिजिटल सहायक, जो 10 विभिन्न भाषाओं में महाकुंभ
Good afternoon, viewers. Welcome to this post-budget analysis telecast on Sansati. I am Tina Jha. With me is my colleague Manoj Verma. So, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman has presented the Union Budget for the year 2025-26 in Parliament, which was her 8th consecutive budget presentation, and in which she outlined the core priorities of Budget 2025, emphasizing 5 key objectives, which are driving economic growth, ensuring inclusive development, boosting private sector investment, strengthening household consumption, enhancing the spending power of India's expanding middle class. The Finance Minister said this budget aims at transformative reforms in 6 areas, which include taxation, financial sector, the power sector, urban development, mining, and regulatory reforms. Also aiming to stimulate economic expansion, enhance infrastructure, improve governance and promote sustainable development across multiple sectors. She reiterated that these remain central to the government's agenda. We'll be talking about some of these broad objectives that the government has outlined in greater detail with distinguished experts who are joining us on the program. I'm delighted to welcome in the studio Dr. Priyadarshi Dash, Associate Professor at Research and Information System for Developing Countries, New Delhi. And also joining us virtually is Professor M.K. Agarwal, Professor of Economics, Lucknow University. मनोज
जी बिल्कुल, जाहिर तौर पे जिस तरह के ऐलान किए गए हैं इस वित्त बजट में, उसको लेकर अपेक्षा भी थी, और वित्त मंत्री जी ने जो इनकम टैक्स को लेकर 12 लाख का जो ऐलान किया, वो एक तरह से बड़ा तोहफा है। जाहिर सी बात है, समावेशी विकास की बात है, विकास को कैसे गति दी जाए, इस पे जोर दिया गया है बजट में। खास तौर से शिक्षा और स्वास्थ्य के जरिए एक आत्मनिर्भर भारत और साथ ही विकसित भारत का लक्ष्य, ये फोकस है पूरे बजट का। लेकिन इसके अलग अलग पहलू हैं जिन पर हम चर्चा करेंगे, उन सभी पहलुओं से आपको अवगत कराने की कोशिश करेंगे जिनका उल्लेख वित्त मंत्री जी ने अपने बजट में किया है। टीना,
Absolutely. So we'll get into the sector specific allocations, the kind of focus that the government has provided to the middle class, to different sectors as well. But before that, let me get in the first reaction from the guest we have with us in the studio. Professor, your first thoughts on this budget. How do you see it building up on the budget which was presented soon after the election 6 months ago?
I think you are right. The finance minister presented the budget which sort of prepares the blueprint for the Viksit Bharat, and this is a continuation of the stand they have taken in the last 4-5 years to prepare the country to meet the emerging challenges of meeting sustainable development, making a smooth energy transition towards clean and other areas, solar energy and other areas. So if I see the budget, this sort of tells that story in a very deeper way compared to the past. This time you see that they have gone into the sectors, infrastructure sectors that are crucial to maintain economic growth.
जी.
But at the same time, how to address the vulnerabilities that people are facing. We are growing, but we have price rises. By ensuring higher medical coverage, by bringing more life-saving drugs to the scheme, John Siddhi scheme and others. So there's a kind of blend of the growth objective with social security measures, taking into account the specific challenges faced by the manufacturing sectors, MSME sectors. So overall, the budget is more of a roadmap for the future India that we can visualize in the next 20-30 years. But of course, the immediate priority would be that people see that how the taxation reforms has happened. And it's a great relief for the people, at least up to 1 lakh of their income, they are not liable to pay any tax. So overall, it looks a balanced budget.
So, it's a huge relief for the middle class, but that is one aspect, the taxation part that we'll come to in just a bit. Professor Agarwal, what would be some of the significant takeaways for you, particularly from this budget? Does it meet the expectations that all of us and the different sectors had from Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman?
See, as far as expectation of different sectors, it is never completed, but whatever we discussed and whatever we aspired for the, taking the economy forward at very high pace, while taking all on board, that is the inclusive growth strategy and pushing the economy forward, we believe that whatever we discussed in the morning, that came true, whether it is for the middle class benefits. And in terms of middle class benefits, definitely it is the direct tax benefit. Other than that, there has been a procedural, you can say, smoothness that has been conducted. Senior citizens have been taken care of. Besides, if you are looking at the things through this, what has the Nirmala Sitharaman has done is that is linking it with the growth strategy. It is not simply a dole out to the, in terms of income tax. There have been indirect taxes also, whether it is the basic custom duty, etc. There has been a great relaxation, and all are being done with the aim to promote Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan. For example, if custom duty has been relaxed on the cancer drugs or other drugs, so what is the objective? Objective is to promote drug manufacturing in India. So given this type of thing, we believe that the budget is very well packaged for inclusive growth strategy and developing new growth centers. Whatever it is called, it is the growth engines that Nirmala Sitharaman has called. There are 4 growth engines she has defined through. And then efficient production structure that has been highlighted very well in this budget. So that is the hallmark. And it is in continuity with the earlier budget, whether it is for the 24-25 or even earlier budget, or it is linked with the next 5 to 10 budgets. You will find that it is the base or the ground for the next 5 to 10 budgets. You can read out what is going to come for the next few budgets. So I believe it is highly growth centric, highly it is equity oriented, and highly it is for the new growth momentum to be generated in the economy. So I believe it is a great source of इंस्पिरेशन फॉर द फर्दर बजट्स।
जी बिल्कुल, देश की अर्थव्यवस्था को गति देने वाला बजट है और जैसा निर्मला सीतारमण जी ने अपने बजट में कहा कि समावेशी विकास को गति देगा ये बजट, सबका ख्याल रखा गया है इस बजट में। एक तरह से कहा जाए कि सभी वर्गों को कुछ ना कुछ देने का कोशिश की है निर्मला जी ने। मैं प्रोफेसर साहब आपसे जानना चाहूंगा, क्योंकि बात हम और दूसरे पहलू पर भी करेंगे, लेकिन बात मैं करना चाहता हूं ग्रामीण अर्थव्यवस्था की, किसानों की, क्योंकि अगर देखिए चाहे मखाना बोर्ड के गठन की बात हो बिहार में, या कपास के किसान की चिंता हो, या किसान क्रेडिट कार्ड की बात हो, इन तमाम सेक्टर्स का निर्मला जी ने अपने बजट में ख्याल रखा है और अधिक से अधिक देने की कोशिश की है। क्योंकि ये बात सच है, क्योंकि हमारी जो कृषि है वो हमारी जीडीपी को ग्रोथ देने का काम करती है, उसे गति देने का काम करती है। आप कैसे देखते हैं इस पहलू को?
नहीं, बिल्कुल आपकी बात से पूरी तरह से सहमत हूं, क्योंकि एग्रीकल्चर सेक्टर को एक रेसिडुअल सेक्टर के हिसाब से नहीं मानना चाहिए।
जी,
हम ये नहीं बोल रहे कि एग्रीकल्चर को हमने कभी इंपोर्टेंस नहीं दिया है, लेकिन कभी कभी ये मान लिया जाता है कि वहां पे डिपेंडेंस ज्यादा है, शायद इसी तरह ही एग्रीकल्चर कंट्रीब्यूशन होगा। बट ये जो थोड़ा डीप थिंकिंग है इस बजट में, कॉटन बोर्ड, ये जो मखाना बोर्ड, ऐसा करके जो पोस्ट ऑफिस को एक ज्यादा तो रोल दिया गया है, मुद्रा स्कीम, ये जो स्कीम को प्रमोट करने के लिए विश्वकर्मा जो सब है उनको, तो ये एक तरीके से एक सॉर्ट ऑफ मॉनिटरिंग का अप्रोच रखा गया है कि जो स्कीम सरकार लागू करती है वह सही तरीके से इंप्लीमेंट होता है कि नहीं ग्राउंड में, और अगर कुछ गैप्स रह जाता है तो शायद ये पोस्ट ऑफिस का जो 2.5 लाख जो सेवक होंगे उनके थ्रू ये इंफॉर्मेशन गैदर कर सकते हैं कि प्रोग्राम का सक्सेस का पैटर्न क्या है, ये सच में मदद करता है कि नहीं टू जनरेट सेल्फ एम्प्लॉयमेंट अदर थिंग्स। उसको छोड़ के जो एमएसएमई और जो स्टार्टअप को जो बढ़ावा दिया गया है, जो क्रेडिट गारंटी के जरिए वो दे रहे हैं, वो भी एक पॉजिटिव सिग्नल है। अगर आप इकोनॉमिक सर्वे देखेंगे लास्ट जो पीछे प्रेजेंट किया गया कल, उसमें ये बोला गया है कि अर्बन डिमांड हैज स्लोड डाउन, लेकिन रूरल डिमांड अभी भी काफी फेवरेबल है, जो जिसके वजह से अभी कंजप्शन, ओवरऑल कंजप्शन जो इंडियन इकोनॉमी में वो अच्छा है। तो रूरल सेक्टर का ये जो मोमेंटम है उसको मेरे ख्याल से बजट का जो ऑप्टिमिज्म जो क्रिएट किया गया है, खाली फाइनेंस दे देने से नहीं होगा, फाइनेंस का साथ जो इंसेंटिव का पैकेज करना था थोड़ा बहुत इसमें हुआ है, तो मेरे ख्याल से ये एक अच्छा दिशा दिखा रहा है।
जी बिल्कुल टीना, जैसे देखा जाए कि दलहन के मामले में देश आत्मनिर्भर हो, दालों के मामले में देश आत्मनिर्भर हो, इस दिशा से भी एक 6 साल का मिशन शुरू करने की सरकार ने, वित्त मंत्री जी ने अपने बजट में घोषणा की है। टीना,
You're right, Manoj. And since we're talking about agriculture, let me remind our viewers that in the budget that was presented soon after the elections in July, agriculture was among the top priorities in the list of 9 priorities that the government had announced. In this budget, we are seeing the consistent focus on the critical agriculture sector, which contributes significantly to the country's growth, also generates significant employment, very critical for the country's growth. Professor Agarwal, and towards agricultural focus, we're seeing a new scheme coming up, the Dhan Dhyan Krishi Yojana, which is going to cover 100 districts with low yields, modern crop intensity, and below average credit parameters. Now, how do you see this strengthening our efforts, the existing efforts of the government towards increasing productivity and at the same time increasing resilience?
Hey, this is the strategy. Those who were outside the, growth momentum of the nation or the economy, these were the outliers. Just look at it. These were the outliers, low productivity districts. Now they are being transformed into high productivity, high value addition crops. So that is the strategy, and this is you can say convergence. What we call in economics, It is the convergence moment, that is those who have been lagging, they are given a big push so that they are moving with high growth, so that they can come up with the mainstream growth momentum. And this is about it is not only in one state, it is across the states. Similarly, if you are looking, this is for the Atmanirbhar. So you will find many, objectives are being fulfilled through one stroke. That is Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan is being fulfilled. Similarly, if you are looking at the urea, you will find that it is being established in the eastern part of the country, so that we are Atmanirbhar in terms of urea supply to the farmers. Similarly, you will find that Kisan credit card, they are being recharged double. That is, instead of 3 lakh rupees, now it will be 6 lakh rupees. So credit flow has also been increased so that they don't feel any constraint with regard to the availability of funds for taking agriculture forward. So this is the way that this strategy is there. And you'll find the rural sector has been given a big push here. This is what we were discussing in the morning, that the economy is being pushed across the sectors, whether it is the agriculture sector. So what earlier we were thinking about, that agriculture is a lagging sector or a dependent sector. Now, no more it is a dependent sector. The way Modi government is putting thrust on the agricultural sector, it will be a great propellant in the coming years. Already the growth rate, if you are looking through the economic survey for the current fiscal, you will find the growth rate is much higher after being higher in the earlier years also. So it will be a propellant for the overall economic growth rate, and that's why we are chasing a growth rate of 7% plus in the next few years. So that's why we should look with this perspective, and this is the strategy that rural income and farmers' income has to be doubled in the coming period very soon.
जी बिल्कुल अग्रवाल साहब, मैं थोड़ा कृषि क्षेत्र से आगे बढ़ते हैं और एमएसएमई सेक्टर को जिस तरह से प्राथमिकता बजट में दी गई है और रोजगार को सृजन कैसे हो एमएसएमई सेक्टर के जरिए, इस पर खासा फोकस किया गया, काफी जोर दिया गया है। आप कैसे देखते हैं इस पहलू को?
देखिए, इसमें सबसे बड़ा गिग वर्कर्स को अभी तक हम लोग अकाउंट फॉर नहीं कर रहे थे
जी।
अगर आप गिग वर्कर्स को देखते हैं तो एक बहुत बड़ा अर्बन वर्किंग क्लास डेवलप हो चुका है जो अपने दम पर काम कर रहा है। उनके लिए एक स्ट्रक्चरल डेवलपमेंट करना, उनका रजिस्ट्रेशन कराना और उनके सोशल सिक्योरिटी को ध्यान में रखने से क्या होगा, ये जो सेक्टर इमर्ज किया है करोड़ों लोगों का, तो मुझे लगता है कि आने वाले समय में ये सेक्टर बहुत बड़ा काम करेगा। अपने ऊपर काम करने के, यानी सेल्फ एम्प्लॉयड सेक्टर है और जिसमें गवर्नमेंट का इन्वॉल्वमेंट बहुत ज्यादा नहीं है, इन्वेस्टमेंट बहुत ज्यादा नहीं है, लेकिन अगर हम उनकी सोशल सिक्योरिटी को भी ध्यान में रख करके चलते हैं तो मुझे लगता है एक ये बड़ा बूस्ट हो रहा है। दूसरा, जैसे बात आ रही है कि एमएसएमई सेक्टर को, और इसमें एक विशेष रूप से ध्यान दीजिए, जिस सेक्टर को अभी तक हम लोग सुनते नहीं थे, अभी 2-4 वर्षों से सुनना शुरू किया है, टॉयज को लेकर के जो एक अलग बोर्ड गठित हो रहा है। भारत की अगर डेमोग्राफी को आप देखते हैं और विश्व स्तर पर प्रधानमंत्री जी का जो इस पर फोकस है, इस पर फोकस ठीक वैसे ही है जैसे कि स्टार्टअप पर है प्रधानमंत्री जी का। आप देखेंगे एक बहुत बड़ा इमर्जिंग सेक्टर टॉयज बन रहा है एमएसएमई सेक्टर। तो आप सेक्टर स्पेसिफिक होकर के देखते हैं तो आपको लगेगा नए नए सेक्टर को सृजित किया जाए ताकि वो बहुत तेजी के साथ इमर्ज कर सके, न केवल डोमेस्टिक इकोनॉमी के लिए, न केवल जो है अच्छी टेक्नोलॉजी के माध्यम से, न केवल अपने स्टार्टअप के माध्यम से या अच्छी पूंजी के माध्यम से, बल्कि उनको ग्लोबल लेवल पर भी कॉम्पीट कराने के लिए तैयार किया जा रहा है। तो ये इस तरह का जो सृजन हो रहा है, मुझे लगता है ये भारत के लिए नए नए ग्रोथ इंजन का काम करेगा।
Rightly said, Professor, and that's why the finance minister described the MSME sector as the second engine of growth in her budget speech. She said through the measures that she's announced today, the focus is on the 5.7 crore MSMEs, which include over 1 crore registered businesses, employing 75 crore people and contributing 36% to India's manufacturing. The MSMEs, remember, play a very crucial role in positioning India as a global manufacturing hub and accounting for 45% 5% of the nation's exports as on date. Professor Dash, how significant are the measures that the finance minister announced for the MSME sector in her budget?
Yeah, I mean, as I said, the credit guarantee cover by increasing from 5 crore to 10 crore, and for the startups from 10 crore to 20 crore. And then a specific incentive for those who are exporting MSMEs. So this is kind of not giving incentive in a blanket way, but rather targeting the incentives the way it works. Like those who are exporting MSMEs, to giving them additional incentives so that they could sort of focus on what are the marketing strategies they need, how sort of product development efforts they should do. If you compare that with the overall manufacturing ambition by creating national manufacturing mission, and then thinking about skilling, and then expanding the capacity of IITs and others, so overall it's a mix of promoting the industry, preparing the people to sort of work in those sectors, and at the same time extending social security to the digital platform workers, gig workers. So all together, the industry push that they give in the third pillar, like investment as the engine, overall it looks quite impressive in terms of the intent of the budget. Now everything will boils down to the implementing ministries, that how do they target those implementation and see that this actually works, because manufacturing is the subject matter of discussion now. Despite of so much of policy announcement, made in India, make in India and other things, this PLI scheme, we have not been able to give the result which would sort of impress everybody that yes, we have done something.
Sure. Before we proceed and discuss another sector, let me welcome on the program Professor Charan Singh, CEO, eGrow Foundation. Professor, glad to have you with us on this telecast. Your first reaction, sir, on this budget, which is in a way building up all the measures, all the announcements that the government had made back in July 2024.
I'm very impressed with this budget. And I think, firstly, the most important thing, the objective that they spoke about, Viksit Bharat 2047, I see that it is in the same direction. That is something very important. Secondly, I see continuity. In the last budget, the finance minister had spoken about youth, women, farmers, poor people. That continuity is there.